Yeah, yeah. Coming up on Mental Health Marty, debunking the myths about Black fatherhood. Stay tuned. What's going on, everyone? It's Martina Sellers, your host and your mental health hygienist here for the Mental Health Marty Show. Let me tell you, y'all, I appreciate you. It has been a time. I think everything technologically that could have gone wrong tonight has gone wrong. But with that being said, the show must go on. So listen, we're so glad that you're joining us. Let me know where you're joining us from. How's everyone doing out there? Are you still in California? We got a little sunshine, so the June gloom is passing away. Yes, I know we're late. I told you we had some technical challenges. So thank you, Auntie. We're trying to get there. Hope everyone is doing all right and everyone is doing well. Everything, y'all, I'm telling you, links were not working. People couldn't get in. One guest had to cancel. 2 guests couldn't get in. None other than Dr. Rice has saved the day, and I appreciate him. But let me tell you what we are all about. So what is the Mental Health Marty Show all about? Well, we are a psychoeducational show, and our intent is to change the landscape and to change the narrative as it pertains to mental health and mental health awareness in our Black and Brown communities. And so we are not a substitute for you seeing your therapist, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, or anything or anyone else. However, we are a supplement. In other words, we want to come alongside and walk with you so that you have some additional tools in your toolbox so that you can achieve your goals of mental health and wellness. However, if you are experiencing any type of psychiatric emergency or feel that you're experiencing any type of emergency, we definitely want you to go to your nearest urgent care or hospital or dial 911 to get those type of helps that you are going to need, because we have to stop the stinking thinking as it pertains to our own mental health and wellness. Thank you. So with that being said, how do you get involved in the conversations and how do you engage with us? Now, we're on several platforms. We're on Facebook and we're trying something new. I hope we're on the LinkedIn tonight. So all you LinkedIn people, welcome. But the main platform that we see all of your comments is going to be on YouTube, on the Mental Health Marty YouTube channel. And if you go there, subscribe and like, we're able to see your comments and your posts there. So please do not think that we are ignoring you if you make those posts on Facebook or anything else. But how do you engage? Daryl, can you take us to that next screen there so that they can hit that button so you see how that goes? You please go to the Mental Health Marty, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and that will let you know every time you hear that ping that a new show is coming on. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, we are going to be talking to real fathers and having real talks about what fatherhood looks like in our Black and brown communities. But here's some myths that I want to debunk right off the top that I know we have heard well too often. We've heard about the deadbeat dad. We heard about the absentee father. We heard about fathers who are not involved. We've heard that fathers are not nurturing. We've heard that fathers cannot be empathetic. We've also heard that fathers lack empathy and compassion. Well, tonight, myself and none other than Dr. Ed Rice, we want to help debunk a lot of those myths and where those myths come from and prove and show to you something differently. So please, he's not a guest on the show. He's been on here many times. He is a man who stands his own lane. Glad to have him as a friend and brother, none other than Dr. Ed Rice.
How are you, Marty?
Man, I'm well. Why are you laughing?
Because you put emphasis on that doctor. You said doctor. I was like, oh, let me sit up for a little bit.
Listen. You got an earned one. Yours is not honorary. You got some loans that you're paying back, showing them, and you had to write write and defend that dissertation.
Right.
Yeah. Man, listen, I give props to all people who have doctors, man. Listen, that's not an easy feat. And you are in the 1% and maybe even the half percentile of Black men who have their doctorate. And we salute and celebrate that. So, man, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So what are we doing tonight?
Okay, I set you up for this beautiful intro.
You did. So I was just like, okay, let's get into it. But anyway, go ahead. I'll let you be the host.
Listen, for those who don't know Dr. Rice, tell us about who you are. I can't believe anyone on my show who does not know who you are, what you do, and just really as a Black father, your love for fatherhood.
Well, I'll go through the easy part. So again, hello to everybody. My name is Dr. Ed Rice. I'm assistant professor of journalism. I teach out in the IE at Moreno Valley College. Shout out to Moreno Valley College. Other than that, I've been an educator, a teacher for more than 25 years. Started out my career as a journalist and then moved into education. And now I'm working in higher ed, did a little work in college access, and that's pretty much me. For something a little more detailed, you have to call me or email me, and then we'll do that. As far as fatherhood and some of my thoughts on fatherhood, I mean, there's so many. I think the one that comes to mind the most, probably if I'm thinking of one word or one thing, it's just maybe miraculous, because the way that fatherhood changes men, the way it impacts men and communities. I think the one word that I can come up with, is miraculous. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you, man. And also, we got him finally in here. We're so glad. Like I said, we've had everything go wrong with all these links and everything. Technology is great until it doesn't work for you. But so glad to have my brother in here, the Rasta GT himself, none other than Stephen Dolphin.
Hey, man, what's going on, guys? Glad to be here.
Look, it took 30 minutes for us to get you in here somehow. We're glad to have you. Stephen, thank you for joining us on. You're in Boston tonight. Listen, congrats to those twin boys, the Dolphin twins, and future doctors of America. And these young cats, they still remain sharp and bright. Listen, one's going to work on my brain and the other's going to work on my other parts of my body to make sure I can stay around for long. But Stephen, talk to us. Tell us about what you do. And we're going to get into this, a wonderful, miraculous story about the Dolphin twins and how you branded them, graduates from Brown University. And Brent, we got to get you on another show to walk you through, brother. It's going to take us too long. Everybody know all the secrets. Help me get in. This ain't a call-in
I love
show.
it. I love the transparency.
Listen, we real here to help me get in. But Stephen, talk to us, my brother.
Hey guys, I'm a little different here now. I'm from South America originally. I was born and started my life off in South America, Georgetown, Guyana to be exact, and left
That's
there
royalty.
by way of Brook. That's the best ever. And then we migrated to Brooklyn, New York. So and then I was in the Marine Corps for 7 years, and then moved over to corporate America, where I'm a IT specialist and in the
Yeah.
networking space, and worked for a company for the last 15 to 18 years. A large company where I manage a network of roughly over 80 plus thousand clients and over I want to 600 to 700 locations globally. And then I also assist Marcel Media and Marcel
Woo!
Wellness Center with their IT needs and providing them support wherever I can get in, where I can fit in. And great situation there. Man, I'm so proud of this guy and what he's doing. And I'm also a dad of three and a granddad of one beautiful little girl. So that's
Yes.
my experience. I come from the streets of being a daddy, and I'm a super proud dad, of course. And Marty mentioned it. I have twin boys that graduated from Brown University 2 weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend. One with a cognitive neuroscience degree, and the other with a health and human bio, and also a history degree.
I
So,
can't even
and they're
spell
on
their
their way
degrees.
to. Okay, I got cheat sheets.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm super
Yes.
proud of those
Yes.
guys, and they want to go into the medical space and do their thing. So one is actually working in New York for an orthopedic surgeon on an all expense paid fellowship at the Bronx Lebanon Hospital with a number of orthopedic surgeons, and the other one is just starting his program on next Monday. That's why I'm in Boston, getting him moved in and situated, and he's going to be working for a dermatology practice until he can take. They're going to be taking the MCAT this year, and then start an application process to get into med school. So super proud, and it took a long. It was a long road to get them where they are, but they did the job, and I can't take all the credit. My wife and I teamed up
Shout out
and
to
made it
Michelle.
happen. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes. Miles and Isaiah, absolutely fabulous. And again, congratulations, especially graduating from an Ivy League school
Hmm.
and coming out like that. And then we cannot forget about the track star that Dr. Ed has too with Amaya. And she's just breaking all kind of CIF records and all this, going across the
Wow.
country it, and she's just absolutely amazing. So we got some proud dads on here, and I want to talk about
Nice.
debunking the myth that Black fathers are not involved in their children's lives. And I love what we're
Fake news.
unique here that we all have our children have been part of our children have been products of divorce and separation,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we often think that Black fathers, and research shows, y'all hear me when I say this, research shows that Black fathers are actually more involved in the lives of their children than any other race and culture there is. Sit on that and say la for a minute. Um, um, Dr. Rice, talk to us about one being at some point a single father, raising a track star girl daughter who is your spitting image, whether you want to recognize it or not. She's just like him. Give him hell too, like things like you got a sharp tongue. But I love it. I love it. But raising being a girl dad and all that comes with
Mm.
it now that she's in high school, starting to
What
date,
grade?
all these other things. You got your shotgun
uh,
ready.
10th going to 11th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. And you've been a
Um,
Rhodes Scholar yourself. So talk to us about that, Dr. Ed, and what that journey has been like for you.
Wow. It's been a very interesting journey. As you mentioned, Maya's mother and I, we're not together. Divorced. But I think one of the things that where I was lucky is that we both understood the role of the importance, I should say, of her
Yes.
having both parents in her life.
Yeah.
So even though we were kind of dealing with our drama, the emphasis was always on Amaya. So
Yes.
we just worked really hard to do that. And I'm not going to say like it was easier that we always got along, and that didn't happen. But whenever we kind of got off track, you know, we were both, we would both really try to do what's best for her. And as long as you keep the
Mhm.
kids the focus, then you manage to push past the other stuff. Even when there were times I didn't want to, it was like, let's just do this. I'm sure she's done the same thing too. So you know,
Yeah.
um,
What advice? Go ahead.
no, you finish. I was trying to remember the other part of the question, but go ahead.
What advice do we give to Black fathers, especially when we know sometimes divorce rates? We know the divorce rates are sky high in our nation as a whole. But what advice do we give to fathers, especially Dr. Ed, because you and Dr. Davis, good to see you, my brother. What advice do we give to Black fathers on reconciliation or keeping first things first, and that is the child? And what successes did you and Kelly have with really raising, and what were some of the biggest lessons that you had to learn in fostering a healthy relationship with your daughter and mama? And Steve, I want to ask you the same question with little Steve.
Mhm.
Wow, I don't know if we have enough time for all of that, but I wow, so I have a lot of thoughts on that. I'm trying to gather them all, but I think one of the most important things that you asked when you asked, how. Um, Again, I don't want to sound repetitive, but the how was always keeping the focus on Amaya, and I know
Yeah,
that's not always easy.
right.
So I think for men, if I had something to say or advice to give, be intentional and keep your word. Like that's the biggest thing that I
Mm,
think where mothers get real protective of their daughter, and it feels like that they're attacking you. And I think back the um,
mm,
some of the biggest fight that we had didn't really have anything to do with either of us. It was because
right.
if I was late picking her up, or maybe changed at the last minute, like and wasn't
Mhm,
really
mhm.
considerate of their schedule, even how Maya would feel if I moved it or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
um so I stopped making. I made sure that if I was making plans with her, I didn't overbook, right? And that if I was doing it,
Mm,
like it was going to be about her, and just planning to try to like make sure I'm there on time, make sure I'm doing what I'm saying, and then when you start showing up like that, then you at least to me, I think in my experience, the fight started to dissipate a little bit more, and in the
mhm,
conversation could be
mhm.
more friendly, and and it allowed us, there was more trust, and then it became dependable, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yes.
And so that was really what made the difference, I think, for us. And for guys too, a lot of times it's ego. Like, you know, um,
Mhm,
the person that's your child's mama, baby mama, ex-wife, however you define her, is not the enemy. She may seem like the enemy. A lot of times she may show up like the enemy, but she
right,
really isn't
right.
the enemy. And that a lot of times that might just cause you from walking away from a fight, or ignoring a fight, or maybe just taking one on the chin and going and dealing with your kid. So I
Yeah,
say a lot of times we got to be
yeah.
willing to move the ego out the way, and that can be hard, but that'd be the best
I
advice that I
agree.
can give.
No, I love that. I love that. And Steve, I want to ask you the same question about some of the challenges and how do we get past the differences. Now I can say my daughter's mom and I, we have a great relationship. In fact, we went and saw Fantasia and Joe together, and my daughter's like, I can't believe the baby mama and the baby daddy is going out, and we had an amazing time. We was up there partying and dancing together like, woo!
Was it always like that?
You all growed up. You all grew
Right. It wasn't always like that.
We grew up.
Right.
We done grew up,
Right.
y'all. But it was great because we learned to put those differences aside,
Yes,
and we learned how to be
exactly.
friends with each other for the sake of
The kids.
the child.
kids.
And my daughter's not a child anymore, but still, we model the behaviors that we want them to have. We really have to, and it can be difficult. It's not the easiest
Yeah.
thing, and I think we
Yeah.
do suck up a lot of pride and swallow a lot of pride. Steve, how was that journey for you, especially with dealing with little Steve, and then the difference with little Steve and then the twins?
Well, that's a set of questions.
Please, I know
Don't
your
fall
story.
for it. Don't fall for it.
Mine wasn't so amicable. I tell you that.
Right.
Mine was a bit of a challenge, and
Mhm.
it was hard. It was difficult from day one, from when we separated to divorce and that kind of thing, and moved out different
Right.
places. And there was a pretty large geographical distance between where I lived and where his mother lived. So it was always, I'm down in southern SoCal, and she was in the Riverside to Rialto area. So as you can tell in California, that's a heavy drive on that 91
Yeah.
or the 60, no matter where you look at it. So,
That's
and Brent's
traffic.
right, we had to pray a lot, so, and it was very toxic in the sense of it was a very toxic divorce. I mean, to be honest with you, and I'm not, I'm a kid from Brooklyn. You guys have a lot of intellectual capital on this screen, and I'm the polar opposite.
Oh, stop it, man! Stop it, because he was trying. She was tired of eating that curry goat.
Hey, that's good eating.
They want some
That's where
curry
Third World
goat.
International lives.
They got some roti.
So yeah, so it was very difficult in bringing him up, and that so we separated when he was 3 years old, and I got full custody. I won full custody of him with a crazy court battle, 5th grade. So I had him
Wow.
from 5th grade all the way through pretty much high school, and it was a challenge because you're dealing with two different mindsets, and you're dealing with two different lifestyles, but my thing was, and I hope other dads who have a similar situation that could be completely honest and above board with everyone here, is the fact that I was present, and it was I
Yes.
fought for him, and no matter what
Yes.
happened, I went scorched earth to get him, and 20 some odd $1,000 later, through court fights, I got him. He came to live with us full time, and the thing was having to combat different level of exposure, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So it was one lifestyle one place, a different lifestyle somewhere else,
Different.
and my son was stuck in the middle of that. So how do you combat that? It was a lot of, thank God I have friends like a Marty, and thank God I have friends, or Martinez, if you want to get fancy. If you,
Well, no, I'm not.
or I got friends, my best friends, Marty, Brent, and Bendon, and my brothers and my family. And we all had to come together, and then and then I remarried, of course, later on, and then we had the twins. So then that's another layer to this whole thing. And a lot of times, some people bring in now you have a blended family that you got to contend with, and then and help my son who was outside of that outside of the new family nucleus, and let him understand that he's part of this nucleus. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And that's sometimes, and then you got to struggle with that piece as well.
Yeah, I don't want to skate over all the Steve, you've dropped so many amazing jewels on here.
He's on the voice.
There he is.
Here he goes.
Yes.
My boy.
There he
That's
is.
my
What's
dude.
up, little Steve?
Andy's my baby girl now.
Yes, yes. Steve, you drop so many wonderful jewels because too often, and courts don't favor in the side of the fathers
Mhm.
in many circumstances and situations. I was a part of that where I was not favored by the courts. I did not even get 50-50 custody. Now, and mind you, I was already approved as a foster parent for San Bernardino County, but I was not even allowed to raise 50% raising of my own child. And that's what was
Mm,
mind blowing.
mm,
And so one, I want to applaud you and salute you as we do this because we never hear these type of stories where the father got the majority custody of that. And hearing, you fought like hell, you didn't mind it.
mm,
$20,000,
mm.
that's a wonderful vacation. Back then that was a wonderful car.
That's in my car. Yeah,
Right, and in some
yeah.
states it's a wonderful house, but that's a whole other story. But that's why I say you defy what we have this misconception about black fathers, and you fought for your son and you did everything you could to bring him into the house, and by the same token, Dr. Rice, you did the same thing with making sure that you had an amicable, as best as amicable relationship, and that your daughter is still in your life. Dr. Rice and I talk many times on both of our ways to work. He'd be like, okay, gotta go, I'm on my way to get a Maya, or I'm outside to get a Maya, and all this. I got to take her to school, and I got to pick her up here, and I got to go to this track meet and everything. And these are the behind the scene things that many people don't see because we're not out bragging about what we do because we just see it as our role and responsibility as fathers. And that's what we do. We love it. We love it. So,
Hmm.
never, right,
You know,
right. But
Brent, just
you
tell my
can't
business.
be. Yeah, I know he up here. Yeah, look, I wish we could get him on because he up here telling it all that way. We got you, boy. Listen, and we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show. So, since he want to be, he said, just like ninjas. Since I can't be, I'm going to bombard him with comments and let him know I'm here.
One
Yes,
thing I want to
yes,
also
yes.
mention too, though, is the thing of
Hmm.
the mere fact that people try to say that you get praise for doing what you're supposed to do. To me, it's like
Right. Right.
that's what you're supposed to do. What do you mean? It's like
Right,
you go to a job and you get paid to get a job, and you expect to get paid because you accepted
Hmm.
right,
that position. You're doing your job. So
right.
for me, it's like when you say that, oh, Steve, you were outside the norm. I think our society today make it make us feel like black fathers are
Good.
not present, and that's a farce, right? So, and all the
Yes,
fathers I know, they've been
yes.
struggling and fighting to be in their kids' lives, and then by
Hmm.
any by any means necessary. Marty's been in the game with his babies since day one. Our boy
Hmm.
Ben been in.
Hmm.
He's a divorced dad, and he's been there since day one to the point where his son
Hmm.
loves him out. Unconditionally. And so that's not even an issue. And
Yeah.
now my son, he's my thing is he. I was just talking about him today, with my wife. I'm like, Steve is a great daddy. He's not even a dad; he's a
Yeah.
daddy. If that makes sense,
Yes.
And he does that man comes home from work, and if you call him, his baby's in his lap. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
he does everything revolves around her and revolves around her progress and making sure she's okay and that kind of thing. He fights for her already, and she don't even know why he's fighting for her, but she knows he's there.
Hmm.
But you
Crawling in
got
his lap
an
with a
example
book.
of his dad. You
Yes,
model that behavior.
yeah, man. Like I said, I'll go scorch earth for my three, and then
Yeah.
my people know me. That's one. Those are the three people you don't mess with on this planet.
And
Man,
Michelle.
Hey.
Can't leave Michelle out. Michelle, my homegrown now.
oh no,
Yes,
she's
yes.
part of the fold. But I'm saying, people can try to come up.
Okay, okay, okay.
You protect that family nucleus, and no matter nothing, if you don't protect that, and then you can't expect them
Mhm.
to be able to do things in the future again if you don't model it, right? So everything is a learned condition, in my opinion. So we want to set them
Yeah.
up for success. We want them to see further than us. So how can we do that if we're not modeling that behavior and not showing them there's something bigger than us? They should be able to stand on our shoulders and see further than what we can see across the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
right? So by any means,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we have to do. It's part of the job. It's part of the
I
gig.
love.
It's that simple.
Yes. Yes, Dr. Rice, you had an organization and that you did do a lot with and have done some blogging, some podcasting. We did an event together that really was centered around, and you won a Pepsi scholarship, if I'm remembering that.
Yeah, that
That
was a while back.
folk, that's okay. It still was
It could be
focusing
yesterday.
on
It's awesome.
right, first first fathers. Talk to us about what that meant for you and why you still have this passion for these young fathers who are fathers for the first time and what that means to you.
It really started because of an experience that I had with a student. I was teaching high school at the time, and
Hmm.
it was right before Amaya was born. So this was like 2000. It was like 2007. And long story short, he was pregnant. His girlfriend had ended up. They were in high school. His had ended up getting pregnant, and we were both having the same conversation, but clearly in two different positions. And he was struggling trying to figure out college or stay home with his kid because he was trying to figure out like how to take care of him and different stuff like that. And meantime, I'm thinking I'm having the same experience. I'm like, I don't know how I'm paying for Similac. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this kid. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm like,
Hmm.
but I'm in a position to do something about it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I was an adult. I was married at the time. I had a pretty good career, so
Hmm.
they were concerns for me, but it was a whole different level of challenge for this young man. And I thought, and I already knew because we had a relationship. His dad wasn't necessarily around, and so one of the
Hmm.
things that I just remember thinking, like, wow, like how is he going to do with it? Like, I'm concerned about it, right? But
Hmm.
the how is pretty much worked out. And that's how it came about. Because I was like, as a community, as other fathers, like we all needed, we need to come around each other. Because that was the other thing that I discovered, that men, we father in a very
That's good.
communal way, meaning like we learn from each other and other fathers, right? And so like when I
Hmm.
remember after, my wife at the time had went through pregnancy, my friends that were getting married and have babies, they were all coming to me asking me questions. So what did you do about this? How did you do this?
Hmm.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking to your doctors. But at the time, I remember when I was going through it, I was asking people the same way. And so it sort of, a light kind of went off as far as how we commune. So the idea at the time was really to bring other fathers and put their arms around the first father. So if you needed a group to go to, you could actually go to a
Love
group
that.
of mature fathers and people who had the experience, as opposed to talking to your other friends who are pretty much the same level as you. It was like, what if we keep that model, but then bring in mentors and older fathers who have the experience
Love
and
it.
actually know. So when you go to ask the question, you ask somebody that has some empirical knowledge as opposed to that's kind of guessing through it like you. And so that was the goal of that particular,
You
organization.
know, yeah, and I think that's so important because, especially as black men and men of color, we don't do this. Women, they always got their natural resources and their natural support
Yeah.
systems,
Well,
and
women when they
oftentimes,
get when they become mothers, if you notify like the mothers and cousins and everybody kind of wraps their
yeah,
arms around them, and it's it's a celebrated thing, right?
yes,
Beyond maybe popping a cigar with your boys once the child is born, like there's nobody that puts their arms around men in the same way from
that's
the
good.
beginning. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? And
That's
so,
amazing.
yes,
and not just with like a baby shower. They're passing on motherly secrets. They're telling them how to parent.
yes,
Like they're learning everything.
Mommy play
And
dates.
yeah.
right.
Right, right.
And Right. And for men, we don't do it the same. We definitely get on the job training, but there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing sort of, before, even during, right? You know what I'm saying? I remember even asking my dad about just, being in the room and what it'd be like, or what's it going to be like when like Amaya was born. And I remember him saying, I don't know, they didn't let us in the room back then. So like he
Right,
wasn't
right.
actually in the room, and so it's just um, it's just a way of sort of getting that knowledge to the people that need it the most, right? And so that way,
Yes.
even if your dad's not around, or if your dad's around and don't talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like there are people in the room that are close to you, close and maybe in
Yeah.
age and experience to you, that can talk to you about this thing, and so that's what it
Yes.
was.
And I love that because
Amazing.
oftentimes, Brent, myself, Steve, Vinden, we just created and just naturally had this bond and support
Mhm.
of each other. I know I've called them and be like, listen, I'm about to go to
Right.
jail if y'all don't talk to me. I'm about to kill
Right now,
kids. And,
talk me off a
so,
ledge. Yes, everybody,
right.
scorched
So
earth.
you gonna have trouble, brother,
Hmm.
or those type of things, and we don't naturally do that.
No.
And how do we encourage men to let down our guards and create these safety nets, these safety bonds with other brothers, with other fathers that's going to say, hey, bro, you are, and there's been times I've hung up on Brent. He told me, ninja, you wrong. He didn't say ninja. You wrong. And I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you right now. Click, or those type of things. Or Steve be like, now, dog. Now, Steve, we have to tell Steve to chill a little bit because, he might not try and have them poor little boys talking about now. The law says I only got to give you a pillow and a blanket, and you eat bologna sandwich every day until y'all come up here and do it. It's like, Steve, lighten up. They're not in the military. Come on, dog. I'd be like, poor Miles and Isaiah. Little Steve, come on, little Steve. I got you.
I think the
Little
police. I
Steve,
think
no.
the legal system is way harder on them than me.
But you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. But we see what you have produced. Boys who are young men, I should say, who are you're Stephen, a great father. Uh, 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 show didn't say.
I don't know why
Show
you
didn't.
read that.
We know you show didn't say ninja. Uh, uh,
All
and
right, I
and
was
and
like,
and
don't read
listen,
that.
but how do we really encourage men to let down that guard, let down
I
that
think,
protection,
dude. I think
that
the big thing is making it cool to be a dad. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
hmm
Follow me in that path.
yeah,
When
yeah,
you make it when you take the stigma away from the negative stigma of being a dad out of the equation and make it cool. Just like, for instance,
yeah.
when our twins were coming up, we made it cool to be a nerd in our household. So they were like,
I love it
you
though.
know what I'm saying? So to be
Yeah.
the smartest kid to be one of the smartest kids in the classroom was cool, and we
hmm
praise that, right? So if you're around like-minded people,
That's
um,
good.
who are positive positive influences on your life,
hmm
you got to be able to discern who's supposed to be around you and protect that, right? So you're gonna have
Ooh,
if you
that's
have
good.
positive people around you who are happens to be dads. And we have fun about that stuff all the time. We tell people all the time that we like our kids. Some parents are like, I can't wait for my kid to grow up and go off to college and be out of my house. I'm like, nah, that was a sad day for us. Like we felt like
hmm
we were losing a piece of us.
hmm
When Steve moved out, we're like, come on, man, where you going? We like our kids to be around us. So it's like
I'm
it's
trying to
not,
move right out
but we
the house.
want. So I think that if you're around people who enjoy being a dad and take it seriously enough to be able to think like, I love my kids. I want my kids to shine. I want my kids to do be all right and have a good time. Not saying that you got to be
Yes.
some serial dictator all the time, but if you're having a good time, they're learning and they're doing their part, you doing your part, and you still have a good time in the mix, but and celebrate their successes, that kind of thing, and make it fun. Hey, why not? And you hang around like-minded people. Like it was all like my kids, like Steve hanging out with V-Ray. That was fun. V-Ray's
Yeah.
Venden's son. their peers, and V-Ray is a crack up, and a great human being. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He's an awesome human being outside of being Vendon's son. You feel me?
Well, he's
Christian,
again,
a
just like his
great
daddy.
human being. Oh my God, he's a madman. you know, and Christian too. And he'd been through V-Ray's son been through the tornness of a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Christian been through
Mm-hmm.
tearing of a
Mm-hmm.
divorce. Steve Jr. been through that.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, if we were to say that, "Yeah, I can't deal with you, I'm out," where would those kids be today?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that, and then being
Good.
around like-minded thinking people like us, made it.
Yes.
We built our own support system. Yeah, we have our fun, basically what the mommies did with the play dates and like this build that community around themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But we did it. We lucked out and had I have my circle like Brent, you, Vendon, and others
Mm-hmm.
to actually be that. My,
Mm-hmm.
my boy Coop and that kind of thing. So we
Yeah.
had our own little circle of people to be around. But at the end of the day, we had to build our own community. That's not normal in society we're working
Mm-hmm.
around today, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to Miss Paula, darling. Good to see you out there, sending you love to the wonderful state of Connecticut and everything. But for yourself, Ed, who were those support systems that you found in other men and other fathers helped you along the way? And yes, Brent, Darian is also Brent's daughter. Darian, absolutely amazing. And Uncle Marty gets to do. I don't. Can I share it? Oh, I'm sharing. Uncle Marty gets to do her wedding. I'm just so excited. Now I get to marry all my nieces and nephews and all that, which is absolutely amazing. So, but where did you find your support system at, Ed, in those times when you needed that help along the way?
I think Stephen had it right. You find like minded people. So I went to again the model. I built the model that I formed the organization after my own interactions. I went
Yeah.
to my friends who were around my age that were having kids or already had kids.
Right.
Um, asked a couple of some of my elders. But really I think and not even thinking about it because you kind of go to people that you know and you trust. So my friends that had kids, like I immediately started asking them questions. And
Yeah.
like I said, once I had a kid, I noticed my friends were asking me. So I remember like one of my friends, for example, he had came to me kind of freaking out because his wife was pregnant. And when they're doing all that tests of what could be, and they tell you something crazy like your child is going to have some mental disorder and all other stuff, and
Right.
it's
Right.
a
Right.
certain percent chance, and then you go home all upset because now you're thinking the worst. And so I remember feeling that, and I was able to sort of talk him down off that ledge, like they're just giving you the
Mm-hmm.
percentage, like your kid is going to be fine, like God willing, like
Good.
everything looks fine, and if they don't tell you anything else, but I was only able to do that because it happened to me, and I'm hoping that he passed it on if somebody else had a question. So
Right.
it's just stuff like that we go through that as men, like we're not going to run to our doctor or our psychologist, or in a lot of cases, even our elders, like our uncles or whatever. Sometimes we might, but generally we're going to go to our friends. Like Steve said, if you're around like-minded people, you guys will be doing pretty much sort of the same thing in life. And so hopefully the minute you surround yourself with think fatherhood is cool, and are cool with dedicating themselves and their time to that. If not, you're probably in the wrong circle. Just saying.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Before we close, our time goes by too fast. This needs to be a
That's
part two
it.
because I think we need to celebrate a lot of what Black fathers do and how we still got about 10 more minutes or so. But what
Okay.
favorite moments of fatherhood? Because I think there's some defining moments that you would not trade for the world. Favorite moments of fatherhood. I'm gonna start with you, Steve, and then Dr. Ed. We're gonna go to you next.
Favorite moments in fatherhood. I mean,
Yeah, there's
outside
so
of
many.
normal. Oh my God, yeah. Outside of normal, when they acknowledge you and want to actually hang out with you and and do things.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like when like Steve Jr. as he got older and he asked for those different like advice as far as life advice. That was cool to
Yes.
me. And when you transition from, I call it, when they're young and they have to listen to all the rules, you're more of the dictator, and then you and transition from
Mhm.
a dictator to to a coach, and then then to an
That's good.
advisor. I think going through those different levels and phases was all important and amazing to me. And I think when you come to the point where you become the advisor, it and the question they ask, he asked, it was like, okay, cool. He was actually listening, and it makes you feel like, to make me feel like, wow, okay, it wasn't for nothing, and to
Mhm.
see where he is and where he's going is exciting, and it makes me feel
Yes.
proud, and see him, the young man he's turned into me. And like I said before, it's simple to me. I'm a simple dude. As long as you're a good
Yeah.
human being, and making those strides towards even being a better human being is exciting to me. And the boy, and the twins, being a father of the twins, and having that relationship where they can tell me anything and not feel like, and like that, I'm going to
Yeah.
be weirded out, or I can't tell my parents that. And we have, I mean, it's funny because, and it's funny because they, one of their friends in college told them, said, "Man, you tell your parents anything, huh?" They're like, yeah, that's what it is,
Hmm.
and that to me was like, that's awesome. And in one time, Miles said to me one time, that kind of stuck with me, was people, when kids get the same way their dads get together and talk about their war stories and different situations of being a parent. I think it was one of his, he was talking to one of his friends, and they were going through a crisis or something like that, and it was asking him for advice, and he was like, I got nothing because I pretty much had a great childhood. And by him just
Mm.
saying that was like, wow, that almost brought a tear out of my eye. One tear,
Hmm.
one get
Yeah.
out tear. So
One
Wow.
thug
that
tear.
was,
Steve, you can cry. Men have emotions. Men have emotions. Oh, just one tear. Can you at least give
what's
one for one and one for the other, and a third one for Steve? Can we get three teardrops out of you? They all can't share the same teardrop. Uh, I love this. Brent Jones says it this way: says, "My father came to me very humbly and apologized. Tears, please." Right. Put that last one up for us, Daryl, so we can see that. And apologize for not being the dad he thought he should be. He said he wanted to start over and start fresh. It changed
wow.
my life. Wow. Wow. Now that's a tear jerking moment right there. Because we know Mr. Jones, Brent's father, he didn't even want to know your
That's my
name. He
dude.
wanted to know if you got a job, where you work at, and why you at my house.
You don't deserve to
Love
eat.
it.
You're not working.
And he is too. Like, why ain't you at work?
It's holiday.
Most of my grass at 10, get a paycheck.
That's John Jones.
Dr. Rice. Yes,
Yes.
yes. John Jones was no joke. Love him to death. Love him to death. I met Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, like, what? A moment about fatherhood that sticks out to you.
There's so many. I think the being able to celebrate your child's success, like seeing them succeed at something, anything, those graduation or those sports
Yeah.
moments. I mean, I have an athlete, and so when I see her work hard and she's winning, like it's so great. Like it literally, at least for me, it feels like me. You know what I'm saying? So like if
Yes.
I'm at her meets, I get nervous before she runs.
Right,
I'm out of
right.
breath when she's done when she's done running. So I think, and I ain't set foot on nobody's track, but I think those moments when you get to see your kids, work hard and succeed at anything, not just sports, but you get to go to graduation or they're doing well. I think those are proud moments because you're like, yeah, because I think all of us dealing in the sectors that we deal in, like you see the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
see students that wish their parents were there, and that wish their parents would, support them at every little event. So, that kind of stuff matters. And then I think the payoff is when they work as hard and they accomplish their goals. Those are some of the good ones for me.
I love it. Those are so amazing. So amazing. Well, and again, today was really about debunking the myth, and we had two great fathers on here tonight. Sorry, Brent, we'll get you on next go round, so we can have. Actually, it might be good to have a daddy daughter day. So tell Darian we're gonna get Brent and Darian on here so we can do this. I think that would be hilarious.
Right.
Yes, it shines, parents shine.
Right.
Right about that. And we want to wish collectively all the fathers a happy Father's Day this coming Sunday. They put us next to Juneteenth. Now, they don't put the Mother's Day next to anybody, and Mother's got the whole month, but we got to share it with dads and grads. They don't say moms and pops. Moms got moms, dads and grads. Everywhere. We want our own month. I'm moving that we move to August. There's nothing happening in August.
Nothing. We could do August. We could do August.
We will start a petition. We're going to move Father's Day to August, where we ain't got to worry about all this.
When we do that, we better have all the gifts in and all the praise.
Facts.
I want the restaurants. I want the restaurants, filled up on Father's Day. You're not able to get a reservation.
Yes. I want the shampoo like the moms have. I want a new hat. All that.
I want a hat. But go ahead. Nah, I want.
Listen,
I'm good. I know one around there somewhere.
They're right there. Got my hats. Yeah,
it's okay.
You do got brims.
Okay. That works for you. Right, the brims.
Yeah,
the brims.
Oh, yes. I don't want any power tools.
We all gotta have our vices.
I don't want a lawnmower. I ain't even got
none. No,
I got desert landscaping.
I got a gardener. Wow. I'm not doing that.
After the world, we build everything.
Hey,
no socks, no ties.
Huh? No, I buy that on my own. Gift cards, food.
Right,
I'm good. I'm good. Right.
Because I got
all that work.
Oh, this is so
then
nice.
I can go get it myself. Right. All that.
I appreciate both of you guys. Listen, this has been great. Our desire is to help debunk, like we said, and change the myths because, again, statistics are showing, even in here's one I read, and I got to send it over to you, Ed, because I think it's a fascinating statistic, how they say that single fathers who raise their children have the same outcomes as two-parent households, as opposed to the converse when they're raised by single moms. That is a mind-blowing statistic. And that goes to prove fathers have what it takes to, like Steve has, raise their children, have full custody, and give their sons, their daughters, their children everything that is needed. Now, we're not saying take mothers or anything out of it. The ideal situation, I just got a client, y'all, and I thought this, you're getting a bad gift, Marty. Oh, wow. Thanks, Mom.
That's mama. Shots fired.
Right. From your mama.
Erase everything I just said.
Okay. She might walk in the room and slap you in the back of your head.
Right.
This client, he and his wife just recently got a divorce. And what they did, they kept the house and they come in where the child stays home. And then they have an apartment that they rent on the opposite weeks that they go out to the apartment while the child stays home. I thought that was absolute. Now that's a level of maturity that is quite brilliant, and it has definitely impacted her life for the positive. And they have monthly, not monthly, weekly dinners together as a family as well. That was a stipulation of the daughter, and I just say applause, because that is a mature decision that you have to make and getting there. But again, we want to salute all the fathers to let you know that you are heard and that you are needed, and keep doing what we do, because again, statistics are showing that Black fathers are more involved in the lives of their children. And they were even specific with the lives of their children in their schoolwork, in the lives of their children with their grooming, in the lives of their children with reading to them, in the lives of their children for tucking them, putting them into bed and waking them up in the mornings, and taking the sporting events and all these other things. That Black fathers are more involved than any other culture. And that's something that needs to be sung from the rooftops to let people and let our society know that we are not deadbeat dads, that we are not absentee fathers, but like Steve and Dr. Rice have said tonight, that we will go to hell and back to fight for our children. Uh, Daryl, just take us straight to the end on tonight again. And we want to thank you again for joining us for this edition of Mental Health Matters with Marty, because we want to make sure that fathers are highlighted and that we are debunking the myth of the deadbeat dad. But in order to do that, we have to speak up. We got to speak out. We have to live. Why? So that we all can enjoy our lives. Thank you, and we'll see you next week as we continue the discussion of mental health for men. God bless you.